All right, we're here with Jake Kelton. How you doing?
I am doing excellent.
Good. I'm very excited for this interview. I've been watching your stuff a lot, and I have to say, I've told you this, I truly believe a lot of the stuff that you've been showcasing and spearheading is going to revolutionize a lot of ways that people build Minecraft. So I am elated that I was able to snag you before you get too big, so that I can pin you down and we can talk about things, because I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff that you're doing. If you don't know, Jake Kelton is not the sole creator of all of these things, but has been spearheading and showcasing animating builds in Minecraft in very interesting vanilla ways. That's the most important thing, is that these are vanilla ways that you can bring a tremendous amount of life and immersion into your builds, which is just exactly what I love to see. So just a couple questions first. How long have you been playing Minecraft?
Oh, goodness. Probably 10 years, maybe longer. It's definitely been a on and off thing. It's the game that never dies. I'm always coming back to it. But I would say that in the last couple of years, I've really spent more dedicated time on it, partly because I wanted to build out one individual world. I kind of was on the forever world train before it became a thing. And I've been working on this world in particular for maybe 3 years now. And so I've been a lot more dedicated to this particular world.
Nice. And have you been focused in on building for most of that time, or for a lot of the time was it just, oh, I just like playing, and then more recently you're like, okay, I'm really going to start building, fleshing things out, creating stories, stuff like that?
I have definitely been a builder the entire time, but my building is very player centric. And so I want everything to be player sized and make sense for me to walk around the world and be as immersed as possible. And what I found after many years, the first many years of playing, was I would try to play in survival, and everyone would do the little SMP things with their friends and whatnot. But I just simply didn't enjoy the grind for resources. And so a handful of years ago, I was like, that's it. I quit. I give up. I throw in the towel. I'm a creative player the whole way through. And so ever since then, I've enjoyed the game way more, because I have taken off the pressure of having to grind hundreds or thousands of resources. And I just build what I want to build, and I get to make, really cool stuff. And there, even in this world, there are times that I'll switch to survival or adventure and just wander around the world and enjoy the survival experience. But when I make stuff, I love the freedom of being able to create anything in creative.
I think that's a very interesting place to be, that you can just let go of that. I think that's something that a lot of players find as a hang up of, oh, I wish I could build this, but I have to stay in survival. I know with me, if I allow myself to be in creative in a world, I'm just going to be in creative. Like, it's so hard for me to go back to survival. But letting go of that pressure and just saying, like, okay, like I'm here because I want to build, and sometimes I'll explore, but I'm here because I want to make this world what I want to make it, I think is a very good mindset to have, especially creatively.
Yeah, and a lot of people, there's always the big creators that are doing this full time, so they can play in survival and they have the time to be able to grind bajillions of resources and all the different things and build whatever it is they want to build in survival. And that's cool. But for me, I'm a full-time working dad and husband and everything. And so my time to play is very limited. And so I'm going to stick to doing what it is that I love to do. And I think that that's kind of the thing, is find what you love to do and just enjoy doing that. Don't put pressure on yourself to do anything beyond what it is that you love to do in the game.
100%. I love that. So we are, you have kind of a whole tour set up for us, which I really appreciate. That's fantastic. You're going to take us through a bunch of your different animated builds, and we're going to talk about them. So if you want to take the lead, I'll follow you where we're going to go.
Sure. So this is the little spawn area that I built. I thought it'd be cool to make kind of a magical amethyst crystal. This is before a bunch of animated stuff, but if you do join my world, which is downloadable on my own channel, this is the area that you'll spawn in. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to make a unique area where you spawn into the world to get a nice viewpoint of everything around. But we're going to hop over to the village this way, which is the Senneberg Tributary, one of the first villages that I have really fleshed out all the way. And the first thing that I want to show, in a lot of the builds that I make, I try to make them as fleshed out as possible in terms of really think through what would make the build realistic. And so there's lots of signs and everything around. But one thing that you'll actually be able to hear while you stand here is the sound of an anvil pinging.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I did have for a while a villager running around that was actually supposed to be, forging here. I had some tricks to get him to actually forge on the anvil, but that kept breaking because villagers are weird.
Yeah,
they do what they want. So if you can hop into, I don't have permission to jump into spectator mode.
Oh, let me make you OP.
That would be amazing.
Okay, you should be good now. Try it.
Let's go to spectator mode. Perfect. So if you sink down through the ground, I'll just kind of talk about it and hopefully you can get a decent view of it. So down here is a pretty simple device, but there's a handy little trick, which it does seem like one of the anvils is broken, but there's a handy trick where if you catch a anvil before it drops too far, you can actually reset and push it back up. So as long as it's in the dropping motion, you can reset it and kick it back up. And that allows us to set up this repeated timer. And 16 blocks away is the noise volume. So any block that's more than 16 blocks away, you can't hear it. So the pistons are out of earshot, but the anvil is right below. And so it sets up this nice audio ambiance of, the anvil kind of pinging away as the forge is being worked on. And I love that sort of stuff.
That's really, really cool. And I love the attention to the detail of having the pistons out of earshot is perfect.
Yes.
That's a really, really good point to that.
So with the forge, what's really cool about it is that behind the fire is actually where you're going to be tossing in any materials that you have that will cook. And as it cooks in the back, then you can actually see, you can relabel items. And so if you look at the chest itself, it's named forge because you're putting stuff into the forge.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could rename chests. That's interesting.
Yeah. So you just kind of like in any kind of anvil or whatever it is, you can toss you can toss it into is it an anvil? I think it's anvil. Yeah. And rename it. And so then when you place down the chest, it'll actually rename it to something else. But after it all cooks through, which there might be too much coal, it will actually shut the system down and turn off the fire. And then when you throw new coal back into the system, it'll turn it on.
Oh, okay. All right. That's interesting.
So it uses a bunch of comparators to be able to recognize when it does or doesn't have enough coal. But then on top of that, there's an additional aspect to it where if you come up here to the top, all of the campfires up here will actually light and turn off based upon whether or not it's cooking iron or whether it's done cooking. And so you can actually tell from a distance whether or not the stuff that you put in has finished smelting. And because the campfires will go off if it's finished smelting, or the campfires will be going if it's still cooking. And so by setting up some different redstone signals, you can actually kind of signal to yourself whether or not your materials are done cooking or not. And it's really cool.
That is fantastic. I love that. I love a passive, immersive way to be able to tell that, like, even just something like your furnaces are done, like, it's time to go get it. That's a fantastic way to do that.
Pretty simple, but a lot of fun, and mostly just using observers and a little bit of redstone, using, as you said, the water as well, flint and steel to kind of turn it on and off works really well. But all right. Over here was the next really big one. This is my watermill that I built. And this was where I took the kind of idea of ambience and trying to make an interactive world to the next level to really build some passive motion into it. And so I built this moving watermill that is essentially just slime and honey blocks that are on a piston feed tape going around in a loop. And it loops and it adds a little bit of movement to it. I was really proud of this because I don't think I'd seen anyone else really trying to do a watermill on its side like this. Now, since then, there's been some really creative stuff in the Buildstone community, which we'll get into later, that are even better than this one. But this was version 1.0, and it was really nice. But if you step inside, it's actually also hooked up to a millstone, which there is going to be the piston sounds, but I think I like it because this would be loud as the millstone is grinding up. And this is another one of those interactable ones where you can actually toss seeds into it. And as you toss seeds into it, if I can aim correctly, into the hopper, it'll actually get thrown into a composter and get mulched up and then pop out over here inside the barrel where I have what is supposed to be flour, so it's like you're mulching up the hay and seeds into bone meal, but I'm mulching it up into flour.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Close enough. So very fun way to add a little bit of animation and again, make it immersive where you're actually using it for different purposes. You can toss all of your leftover seeds and whatnot into it and get all your bone meal out of it.
Earlier, you used the term Buildstone. That's something I haven't heard before. I think that's a very good applicable. That's a good term. Is that something you came up with or just something you've heard?
It's something that was a mixture of me coming up with and then a number of people when the animated builds really started kind of kicking off was this idea of how do we combine redstone with builders? And it was this idea of merging the two worlds is that you had the one world of the people who built pretty things and you had the one technical side of Minecraft who did stuff with redstone. And so it was like these two worlds are kind of crashing together and mixing. What would that look like? And out of all the different terms that we kind of discussed a little bit and that I rolled around, I like Buildstone the best. It just kind of rolled off the tongue. And so it's like you're building, but you're using redstone. So we call ourselves the Buildstone Guild. That's
perfect. I think it's a fantastic name. I cannot think of a better one.
All right. We are going to go on a little bit of a journey north to see the animated monolith. And it should be fun to check that out. And it moves. And it moves.
And it moves. It's animated and it moves.
And it moves. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Well, as we're journeying up there, I'll kind of tell a little bit of the story about that. So the next kind of, as I was playing with building new things in this world, I got really inspired off of a piece of artwork that had this floating monolith structure. And I wanted to build it in my world just because I liked the mystery and intrigue that went along with it. But one of the things that I found when I was kind of looking at it and building it was that it just felt kind of lonely and isolated and sad. It was just there. Like a lot of stuff that you build in Minecraft, it was just there. And that's fine. It's cool and all. But the picture or the artwork actually had the circle that was carved into the side of it glowing. And I was like, well, how cool would it be if it sometimes glowed and sometimes didn't? And that led into this huge adventure of creating this runic monolith that had all sorts of different symbols etched into it, but that it would transform when the settings were just right. And so a mixture of my building and somebody in my Discord helping me out with the redstone nugs. He is a master redstone builder, really, really, really creative in how he uses it. We came up together with this thing. And so I think that if you reset it to night and then day, every third day, it will transform. Well, I guess it's every third night, but it lasts for about 24 hours. We'll see if we can kick it off. We did just launch this world, and so it might be a 3-day tick. So you can set it back to day, set it back to night. Yes!
Yeah!
Yes!
Oh,
there
that's
it goes!
So cool. Okay. How do you have that? How is that set for a 3-day, for like a 3-day cycle? Can you explain that a little bit?
Nugs magic, but the way that it works is that it actually has a daylight sensor over in the corner, and each time that the daylight sensor ticks, which is either day or night, it will then fire one signal into a clock, and the clock will recognize every essentially sixth signal to send to actually open it up. And so the way that the redstone works, I think that clock is up here underneath one of these slabs. And so, yeah, you set it up to recognize, the on and off basically of the day and night cycle. And then those are your counter. And then every 6 counts, you then turn it off, and then it's on until the daylight sensor tricks over to night again. So it'll last for 24 hours. We played around with a couple of different options, but this is the one that we liked the most. However, the rest of it has not activated yet, which I'm kind of curious about. Did that open it up? Yeah, yes. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. So down here at the beacon, this beacon opens up and launches, and then you can actually step into it. And if your timing is just right, you can ride up. There you go. Right up into the middle.
Almost. One of us will get it. Yeah. Oh, I got it.
You got it. And so this was some of the storytelling elements. Was I wanted the inside of the monolith to be this kind of eerie, almost ancient technological, who knows what? Is it aliens? What's going on in this? And I got really inspired off of some of the armor trims. And so I wanted to kind of mess around with that and the purple. And maybe there's a little homage to Grian's Watchers in here. I'm not going to mention anything too serious. But there's some cool, items. There's a sword and the armor and everything that is all pretty heavily enchanted. And so if you do make your way up here and come up here at the right time, you can come check out the world. And now if you're really careful, as you drop down, there's a little pool of water over here in the corner that you would land into to safely exit the monolith. Oh. Back up you go.
Nice.
Yeah, landed it. First try.
That's so cool. I will never cease to be amazed by just big redstone contraptions like that. Like just flying in there
it's just wild.
Oh, it's so cool. And to have it linked with like the narrative and with the story and with the visual aspect of it. This is good job, Nugs, and good job you. This is one of the coolest builds I think I've ever seen, honestly.
Well, let's enjoy it one more time. Set it today, and then if you set it back tonight one more time, everything should power off. And I spent a lot of time just switching the switching everything on and off because it was just so cool to watch it all transform.
And it's just gone. That's awesome. That's absolutely amazing. I love videos like this where the whole video is basically me just being astounded at things and being like, wow, that's so cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's so cool.
All right, let's head back this way. And if we haven't broken everything enough, we're going to break the world a little bit more because
all right, let's do
it. The version 2 waterfall that I want to show off next is the triple 0-tick piston feed tapes. So it's 3, maybe 4. No, I think it's 3. I think it's 3 different piston feed tapes that have been specially built to be 0-tick, which means they're ridiculously fast. What I have found is that when it's running, it is very smooth. Oftentimes, turning it on, it will kind of lag for just a moment as it's kind of recognizing all the different moving pieces. My version 3 waterfall, which I'll show off in a little bit, is much, much better and far less heavy on the lag. The first cool thing is I am absolutely obsessed with what I call arrow tech now, and that's using arrows to animate all sorts of different things. But in this particular case, it's animating the waterfall splashing at the bottom. So this is just arrows that are suspended in soul sand, and just like a Ender Pearl stasis chamber, they will never despawn. And there's a pretty decent number of arrows there, and I have not experienced any lag with the arrows. They really don't add that much. And I wouldn't overload it with hundreds of arrows, but it's very, very cool. And even when you get far away, while the particles do disappear, the arrows themselves still add a bunch of bouncing, kind of bubbly effects just from a distance. That's really nice. So
yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
Let's lag the world. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
excellent.
Yeah, that is fast.
That is the fastest piston feed tape you can currently make in the game.
Okay, so where's that sound? Is that sound just the feed tape?
No,
the sizzling?
No, the sizzling is, and I'm actually not hearing it. Oh, because I turned the block off. That sizzling is a creeper head set to a particular timing behind the waterfall. That as you get close to the waterfall, the creeper head will sizzle and bubble like the sound of the splashing waterfall. And so that adds another layer of ambiance to the waterfall. Now it's set so that way, the distance-wise, I can walk along the path and it won't be buzzing in my ears too badly. But if you walk up next to the waterfall, you'll get that kind of splashing, sizzling sound effect.
That's a really good idea with that too. So I do have a question with the feed tapes. So I know you get more consistent and it's smoother if you have a feed tape with solid blocks. Would it be easier to do it with dropping concrete powder?
So there's been a number of people that have asked about dropping concrete powder off of it. And in part, I did feel like dropping blocks are a little bit too fast to get a really good animation. But more critically, you can't get a steady flow of them. And then most critically, they are incredibly inconsistent in terms of breaking. Dropping blocks break so easily. And to get a very fast, very steady feed of them, almost every time that I try tried a dozen different varieties of trying to do that, I kept having the concrete blocks break and turn into the item instead of the actual block. And so, yeah, I have found no success with that myself. There are other designs that will work with dropping blocks that are like that. There's a couple of them in the Buildstone community, but if somebody out there is better than I am at this sort of stuff and is able to come up with one, I would love to see it, but I have not figured out how to use dropping concrete powder for the animation. So,
I mean, this seems to work great, so I see no need to change it. Of course, that is how you miss out on really cool stuff, so maybe there is something better.
Well, that's what I love most about Buildstone is that there's this constant innovation and constant, people trying to find the next thing or discover how to do the next thing. And so I am deeply encouraging of people that this is a new field for Minecraft, especially Minecraft Redstone. Just because something is a certain way, if you think that you have an idea of how to improve it, please do. And I'm all for it because I know that my Redstone skills are barely starting, and there's some really incredible technical people out there that can make some amazing stuff. So let's push the boundaries together.
Hell yeah. Community.
Are you in the Redstone?
I am actually. Yeah. Could you turn it back on? I think you stopped it like right when I walked back here.
I will. A little bit of flashing warning. It can be a little bit intense.
That is so fast.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Wow. I'm shocked that it's able to update and move the blocks that quick. I would figure for sure that would break somewhere. But you haven't had any issues with this breaking?
No, that's zero piston, zero tick. It's above my pay grade in terms of knowledge base. So maybe I should rephrase that and say that's above my knowledge base because I actually had a lot of help to be able to figure out the zero ticking. And you can actually see in some aspects, the pistons are literally going through certain blocks, but it all has to do with game update order. And if you are really knowledgeable about game update order and how to fire different things and how to cancel things mid-animation, you can do a lot of crazy manipulation of blocks. And so this shout out goes to Tortoise Chan, who helped me design the base for these. And I honestly copied and pasted what they sent me because I'm like, I am not going to be technical know-how how to adjust this. And so that's why everything's floating, is because I just copy and pasted it everywhere.
Well, good job, Tortoise Chan.
But it is extremely steady. You definitely, I have not broken it yet. So we're going to head out west and have a little bit of journey. And while we're flying out west, I'll kind of talk a little bit about the windmill that we're going to see out there. But this is really where Buildstone / animated Redstone kind of took off. And this is where I have to give a massive shout out to Coda's Corner, who was the originator of the first 2x2 trapdoor fan, and they were messing around with it. And I had cognitively known about activating trapdoors behind blocks and had just messed around mentally with what some of the animation potential could be. But Coda's Corner actually created the first one and showed that it was actually possible. So it took it from just a thought experiment to actual reality. And from the initial 2x2, I, with the help of, again, a number of people in the Discord, put together these small, they are, I guess, 7x7 windmill fans. And they are so smooth. I absolutely adore these. And I know there have been dozens and dozens of new versions of them, and that they're a lot more thinner and there's a lot of different designs. But to me, this will always be kind of classic. And I like that they're a bit wider in terms of they're really thick, which to me feels very windmill-like because they would be kind of powering whatever it is that's going on inside of the different buildings. And I absolutely adore these. These will always be classic to me.
It's hard to beat the nostalgia of some of the first ones.
If I can do this, then I can do thinner stuff too. And that's what inspired me to then, when I saw Mumbo's fan in his big factory, surplus whatever it is. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so incredible. I need to try to rebuild Mumbo's fan, but animate it. And that's when the fan video blew up and sent things to a whole new level, and everyone kind of got on board. But I used the same millstone tech over here to have a little bit of a millstone in here. And then you can actually open the trap door and drop down to see some of the lower guts for the millstone. And you can see that it's just a piston feed tape with the honey and slime blocks going around in circles.
Nice. I like the addition of having different blocks in there too this time. The other one I think was just andesite.
Yes. I improve the design every time. And so will I go back and update the old ones? Probably not. There's some nostalgia there as well.
Yeah, it's fine.
But this is also one where you can toss the wheat into either the hopper or into the chest here, and it'll get crafted up into bread in the corner over here. And so it is functional as well as aesthetic, which is one of my favorite things to do. I built another one over here. I wanted to be able to release for free a downloadable version of just the windmill itself, whereas that one kind of has a house combined with it. And so this is also downloadable from my channel and is free for anyone to grab.
Do you have your stuff on the Discord? Is that where it's available for download?
It's actually available on YouTube. Whatever the channel or whatever the video is, you can go into the description and find the downloads there. Most of the downloads are on my Discord as well, but that's a good point. I should double check that everything is there because I'm not sure. I'm not sure all of it has been updated. So okay. I'm running around.
I'm very slow to update all my stuff too. It's okay. So I do have a couple questions about the way that a lot of this is set up. So it's clearly very narrative based, clearly very immersion based. Do you do art outside of Minecraft at all? Like in terms of like writing, or do you just consume it and it's just kind of what inspires you?
The classic goose question.
The classic goose question.
Yeah. So I am slightly artistic in terms of art and drawing. I have dabbled in art for a very long time. I know a lot more than I actually do because my wife is a professional artist. She's very good, cool. Better than she will admit. But I think to answer your question better is I love storytelling. And so I have written many, many different short stories. I do have a very large fantasy novel that I am working on. It is more head than on paper. But it is a lot of fun. And yes, for a narrative and story and immersion, I do more writing than artistic stuff, but it helps a lot with this because I want there to be purpose in every build. And I want there to be subtle details that tell a story within the actual build itself.
Writing is absolutely artistic. So you are certainly making art. What are some like S tier storytelling writing? Like what are some things that you hold on really high regard, whether it is because of nostalgia or something that you've seen recently or read recently, but what are some things that really you put high on your list
in terms of like writing and reading?
In terms of writing and reading, in terms of like immersion, whether it's a game or a movie or just like a universe in general?
I'll give two. One of my favorite authors of recent is Brandon Sanderson, who writes medieval fantasy novels. They are absolutely fantastic. I'm sure at least some of your viewers will have read some of Brandon Sanderson's stuff because he's very popular. And I am a Cosmere nerd. I have read all of his Cosmere books at this point, which is way too many. You can ask me many questions about the Cosmere and I'll have answers to most all of them. And so I love Brandon Sanderson's stuff. And he's just wildly creative. He holds no excuses for why something can't be made to work in his worlds. And any magic system that you can think of, he says, yeah, sure, let's figure out how to make that happen. And I love his approach to not holding himself back just because something on the surface seems illogical. It says, hey, let's figure it out, and find reasons for why that works. For immersion, I have to admit I am deeply obsessed with the world of Horizon Zero Dawn, or I guess it's Horizon, and now there's Horizon Forbidden West as well. While the story in the second game might be lacking a little bit, the world itself, I have taken so many screenshots and so many pictures in that world, and I literally will just walk around, just be like, wow, so pretty. Wow, so pretty. And my wife is looking at me like, what are you doing? Aren't you going to play the game? And I'm like, I am playing the game. All right, this is fun.
It's about appreciating it. I am sad to admit that I have not played the Horizon games, but they are on my list. I really do want to play them.
Absolutely top
Mhm.
tier, worth the investment because they are fun, and they are the immersion. They are the get into it, and don't just hop from place to place, travel around, see the world, and enjoy what it is that the creators have made, because it's truly something special, and I love it. I'm very excited for the third game that they absolutely have to be working on, because they set up the second one, and the second one ended on such a cliffhanger. I have to know what happens in the third one.
Yeah,
So.
we'll see. I've had that happen before, and it just never comes to fruition. But hopefully it will. For your
Hopefully
sake,
it
yeah.
will. I'm here for it. This is the version 3 waterfall. That it's a very small version, but you can see that I removed the zero tick piston feed tape and instead have simplified it by using sticky pistons that pull and push glass in front of other glass panes, whether thin or thick. And by using a different color gradient in the background, it still, from a distance, adds a lot of visual movement to it without actually adding. You don't have to have much technical expertise to understand sending observer chains down a series of sticky pistons that are just pushing and pulling glass blocks in and out. And so I really like this design. I'll probably be building this design more for waterfalls in the future. This is a very tiny version of it, but I have made some very tall versions of them as well, and they look amazing.
The more I look at it, the more hypnotizing it gets. Like once you kind of see the pattern of the observer line going down, that is a really, really nice effect.
If you want to stop here, I will travel over here and flip the flags on, because they are definitely some of the most impressive tech that has come out of the Buildstone community. Utilizing the actual falling component of concrete powder, we figured out how to make things look fluidly in motion from a distance. And this is one that I absolutely will just stare at for a very long time, because to me it is so beautiful. I will throw in the caveat. It is very easy to break falling blocks, like I mentioned earlier with the waterfalls, but that doesn't mean that it's not still worth building this sort of stuff, because it is so cool.
It is. This is my favorite thing that I've seen on your channel. This is so much of exactly what I want out of Minecraft, where it's a super minor detail, but it is a movement dynamic that you just do not see in the game, that if you had those going, you may not even really realize it as a player walking up unless they're pointed out. But as soon as you do, it just adds so much that you can't replicate in any other way. And especially with flags, because there are so many flag builders, there's so many fabric builders that do a really good job at capturing the motion. But then when you see it actually in motion, it really does not hold a candle to it. It doesn't hold a flame to it.
Yeah, I think that that's what kind of captured my desire in the game to take things to the next level, was that when I looked at some of the incredible builds that exist, and I absolutely love them, they felt like a snapshot. They felt like somebody had just taken a picture of it. Even though you're moving around in the game, it just felt like someone had grabbed a 3D picture and was like, hey, here's the world. And it's like, that's really cool. But it just didn't feel alive. And this type of slightly subtle movement, as you said, really takes a world and breathes so much life and movement into it. It just says, hey, I'm actually here. There's actually a world around me that is moving and breathing with me. And I can't get enough of it.
I think there's a very specifically lonely and liminal feeling to Minecraft worlds, that for me at least has been something that's drawn me to the game a lot. I really enjoy that feeling in games. I think it's something that's hard to recreate intentionally. But I think a lot of building is focused around, and you hear this all the time, finding ways to add life to your world, adding details, adding weathering to things, thinking of it as a real place and like what you would do to add life to it. And it works, but it still has that same tinge of solitude to it. And little bits of movement like this do wonders to not necessarily get rid of that, but to shift that into it really feeling like a living place, which again is why I really feel like this is going to be the next big thing in Minecraft, is going to be animating builds in these ways.
Yeah, and that's what I love most is that when people ask me, how does it feel to kind of initiate a lot of the animated build renaissance, as some people will phrase it, my greatest feeling in regards to it is excitement, because I know that people are going to take just the ideas and the concepts and scale them to 1,000, because I am only able to do so many different things, and it's the community that's able to work together and to come up with even better designs and new ideas and say, hey, the Minecraft is all about what is possible and taking what feels impossible, making it possible. And so I'm deeply excited for what the future of this holds, because this has all come out after only a month, maybe 2 months of ideating and creative building. Imagine 2 years from now, right? We've seen the gradient, renaissance, and everyone adding so much more depth to their builds by utilizing so many different blocks. This has only just started, right? A year from now, what are people going to be building? And I'm looking forward to it a lot.
If there's anything that the Minecraft community is really good at doing, it is surprising me with the creativity and the ways that they use things. I mean, every time I get on, Reddit or YouTube or Discord and I'm looking at things people are making, I'm constantly surprised by, oh, I never thought to use something like that. Even earlier today, I was interviewing Alpine, and he had a water cooler that was just an upside down stair with a blue piece of glass on it. And I don't know if I've ever seen someone make a water cooler. And the impact of just having blue glass, that's all you needed. It was something that simple that just made me stop and go like, oh, wow, that's a really cool detail that I haven't thought of before. And
that's a water cooler.
It's so cool. And this community is amazing. And something I think that has seemed very present and persistent throughout everything you've been talking about is the persistence and the willingness to tackle an idea that seems like it can't be done, which I think is where innovation really happens. I think it is where invention really happens, and your appreciation of the community and that collective group adding to it and building on it is what makes this community so amazing. So I want to personally, aside from the interview and all that stuff, want to commend you for holding that close to your heart, because that's what I think is the best thing about this game and this community. And it is always heartening to see other people, other creators, other players really, really take that to heart and utilize it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no I, it is we. And I want to make sure to keep that front and center always.
100%. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me and show me around. It was fantastic. It was inspiring. I hope all of you guys that watch this, please go check out Jake's channel. There's a link in the description, top right corner, all that stuff. I can link your Discord too if you'd like me to. Yeah, go spread the love, because this is very, very much worth being a part of and checking out. And also, while we're at it, there's just a little bit of an Easter egg. Just wanted to just kind of peek over there, just look at that, and that's it. You'll have to go and check his video to find out what's going on over there, but it's very exciting. So until next time, I'm sure we'll be chatting again about something in the future. I hope you have a wonderful time. And if there's anything you'd like to plug, or anyone you'd like to plug, or anything else, you have my audience and you got the floor, so go for it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Absolutely honored to be interviewed, and just still honored that I get to be one of the people showcasing some of this incredible stuff. I think the only thing that I tell your audience is keep creating. Continue to be inventive. Don't let barriers hold you back and say, hey, just because something seems impossible doesn't mean it is. You're welcome to share the Discord and people can join. We'd love to be able to help you out with the small brain that I have. There's bigger redstone brains in there that can help you if you're trying to work on some redstone stuff to animate your world. But yeah, just keep building and be easy on yourself, because it's challenging, but it's so rewarding. And so, yeah.
Perfect. Lovely. That was fantastic. We're back. P.S. Just want to point this out. This build is amazing. This is a really, outside of the animation, this is a very, very solid, very well detailed build. And you just said that everything inside is yeah, everything has an interior.
Every room is fully detailed and has a purpose, whether it be servants' quarters for making the linens that go to the Lord's, rooms and all the different pieces that they would need. There's a glass shop, there's a tavern, there's an herbal shop, and everything. Yeah, every room has a purpose. There's beds for all the different people who would be living here. I do at some point need to fill it out with villagers running around. But since you're down here on the ground, if you want to come this way, I was just sharing that one of my favorite areas is the crypt that's down here. So you have your embalming room for where when somebody dies, you can bring them in here and get them ready for going down into the crypt.
With the nice sign, just in case you forget.
Just in case you forget. And then you can come down where all the different caskets are and make sure that the different rooms and sections that have been set aside for the different, families that may have the right to be able to be buried in the castle's crypt. And then down here is the special room where the grandfather of the person who, I guess is the grandfather who built the castle, where he is laid to rest in this very special place. So I actually don't know if I wrote all the lore into the book or not, but.
The other one was blank, but that one has a name. Oh, is there more lore in it? Did I just skip over it?
No, it's just that for right now. I need to come back and fill out the rest of it. I recently discovered that there is a tool that you can use to copy and paste text into books, because for a while I was handwriting everything in books and I'm like, this is taking an eternity. But now I can use the tool to cheat some stuff.
That's nice. That's good. I was wondering about that. That is, they don't always copy correctly. Oh, and you got a library. Do you have real books in here?
No, I do plan at some point to come back and put names for all the different books. So you can see I have labeled out travel and exploration, medicine, alchemy, trade and commerce. So there will be names on all of these books at some point, but I don't plan on writing, I think it's like 180 something books that would be scattered throughout here. So no. Oh, but there is a fancy room. How do I show you this? This is up here. So press this button and you can walk back in here into the experimental chambers where the king's alchemists
happens.
Are. Yeah, where people who let's just say have troubled the king for a little bit too much have. There you go. Go ahead. They disappear into the room. And now I don't know if you want to include this in your video or not, but check this out. So I have layers of secrets upon layers of secrets. So there's the library. Behind the library and underneath the chapel is the experimentation room. But inside one of these chambers is a button that opens up you got to flip the trap door, press the button, flip yourself underneath. There, you go ahead. You get in. I'll flip that down. Open this, and you can crawl into the. Oh, come on, open longer. There you go.
Yeah.
And now, when you're back there, you might find something a little bit disturbing.
Oh, it's just a shovel. Was there supposed to be a body too?
There was a skull. I don't know where the skull went.
No, skull's gone, but there's a shovel.
There's a shovel. Yes, there's a prisoner who attempted to make a break for it and was tunneling their way out of the keep, but did not make it out.
Didn't quite make it far enough.
You're going to have to spectator mode out of there because there's no button to escape. I don't think.
There was a wood button on the wall.